everyone, DPX here. Welcome back to another movie review. Today, I will be reviewing Captain America: Brave New World. Now, before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will be mad. But Captain America: Brave New World is like the first MCU project of the year out of like, what, 8, 9? Like, kind of crazy. It's also like the 4th Captain America movie, and also like the first one where we get to follow Sam as Captain America, you know? Sure, we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we had the show, but like this is like his movie. And there has been a lot of like negative discourse around this movie since it came out. A lot of people say it's horrible. Like, I actually, like, saw the word horrible and disaster thrown around in relation to this movie. And while I don't think it's that bad, in fact, I was expecting it to be way worse, there definitely are issues where and certain things that make the movie feel like it's rough, you know. To start with some good stuff, this is definitely like the most cohesive is the word I heard. Cohesive MCU movie in a long time. Like, this definitely feels like an MCU movie from, like, you know, the earlier phases, and it definitely feels like it's a part of a shared cinematic universe. Since Endgame came out, it felt a little bit like, you know, a lot of the movies, instead of tying everything together, they tried to do their own thing, which on the one hand, like, I think a lot of us wanted to see that, you know, at least a little bit. Just, like, see some MCU projects, like, be sort of, like, their own solo, like, standalone things. But then there's so many things that were set up that would just never come back up. Like, for example, at the end of Eternals, they set up that there's just this giant celestial being poking out of the earth, you know, and they just never bring that back up. That amongst other stuff as well. Luckily, and I mentioned that one in particular because that's in the trailers and everything, so luckily this movie does, you know, tie into all those things. It does address the Celestial, it does address a lot of other things that were set up in previous MCU movies and shows, and I think it did a decent job at doing so. This movie also acts as, like, sort of, not a sequel, but like some sort of like continuation of what happened in the Hulk, you know, the Incredible Hulk. And, you know, that's like the black sheep of the MCU, you know, that one's like the odd child, you know, it's the one that like, that definitely feels the most like it's not a part of the MCU, if that makes sense. And stuff from that movie has rarely, if ever, been brought up throughout the course of the MCU. In this movie, they bring back a lot of plot lines from that, or a lot of stuff that like happened in that movie came back and was a thing in this movie, if that made sense. And of course, Anthony Mackie as Captain America or Falcon, but Anthony Mackie as Sam is great. He's really great in this role, but also Harrison Ford is as Thaddeus Ross, or now President Ross. You know, they had to recast the role because William Hurt sadly passed away, but I think Harrison Ford was a perfect recasting, and he's great in this. You were able to tell from like interviews that he really enjoyed being a part of this movie, and you can tell on in the movie he really liked being a part of it. They also bring back some characters from, like, say from Falcon and Winter Soldier. There's Isaiah Bradley, who was, I thought, like the most interesting character from that show, and by far like the best performances in that show came from that character. I forget the actor's name, but like he killed it, and he was in this movie, and I like what they did with him. But then at the same time, like, as the movie went on, it felt like the movie kind of forgot about him more and more. That's kind of an issue with this movie, is, like, the start of it it seemed promising, it seemed interesting, but then as it went on, it felt like it was just messy, you know? Like, this movie got reshot. There was a lot of reshoots with this movie. Like, it got out that they shot this movie, and then you know, there's a whole bunch of like leadership at Disney that changed around. Kevin Feige didn't have quite the control that he once had, but then once he got that control back, he looked at it and he's like, yeah, we gotta redo this movie. So apparently it was really bad at first, and then they had to reshoot the whole movie. Certain like plot lines, certain scenes, certain sequences that were shot just did not make it into the movie. Certain people, certain characters that were originally in the movie were not gonna be were not in this movie. They even changed like the title of it. So when you're watching the movie, you can definitely see the reshoots, and that's never a good thing. You can there are definitely scenes where it seems like two characters are talking, and it definitely looks like they're not in the same room at all. Like they're on a green screen, and there's scenes where there's characters on a green screen, and it's like, why does this character need to be on a green screen for this scene? Also, I think this movie has a bit of a villain problem, and I feel like when you hear villain problem, you think, oh, there's like too many villains, it becomes unfocused. No, not that. You know, it's because I'd say there are 2 villains in this movie, and then one kind of antagonist who's just a third act antagonist. I'll just say it's Red Hulk. Red Hulk's all over the marketing. He's just like a third act boss, though. If he's a boss fight in the third act. You know, I guess that is a bit of a spoiler, but also I feel like not really. I feel like all the reviews say this, and I can't hold this against the movie necessarily, because the way it was marketed is different than the way the movie was made. They made the movie first, and then they made the trailers. But it just, I just feel like I have to point out, like, that's just straight up false marketing, They also put Giancarlo Esposito in the movie, and he's great. Giancarlo Esposito is always great in whatever he's in. But he's just sort of there, like he's just sort of, he doesn't do much in this movie. I was shocked to see how little he did. And then there's this other character, the leader, who if I can recall, he was like set up back in the Incredible Hulk, and we see him come back, and that's cool and all, but I didn't love what they did with him. I'll just say that. And also, a lot of the dialogue is just like, not that it's like badly like delivered or anything like that. It's not that there's bad acting in this movie, but the dialogue is just like exposition. You just have the plot explained to you multiple times. You have like the villain's plan explained to you multiple times. You have the events of the movie that's currently happening multiple times. You have like Harrison Ford just constantly saying like, I need this treaty multiple times. And by the way, like I should have mentioned this, Harrison Ford I think is actually the best part of this movie. He actually has an arc, but he does like his character does repeat like the same fucking line so many times throughout this movie. Overall, Captain America: Brave New World, it's not the disaster, I feel, at least it's not the disaster that a lot of people online are saying it is, and obviously there's like a group of people who want this movie to fail, so I don't care about that, but like there's also a group of people who don't want this movie to fail, who like give every like Marvel movie a fair shake, and they say it's bad, they say it's like terrible, it's horrible, and I can't quite agree. For how bad it was said to be by both people who watched it and also people who worked on it, like apparently like the cast and crew were said to not be happy with the movie. I was expecting way worse, but at the same time, this should have been so much better, It's trying to be like Winter Soldier, but it's just not. I don't know, over time, I might like this movie more, I might like it less. I feel like it's still early. I'm still interested to see how, like, audiences react to this movie. Just casual fans. But for me personally, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So that's my review for Captain America: Brave New World. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the movie, not like the movie? Have you guys seen the movie, not seen the movie? And if you haven't seen the movie, do you guys plan on watching it, not watching it? Anything about the movie, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to comment, subscribe, or I will do something really bad. I don't remember what I said at the beginning of the video, but bye!